I have a prepared text here that I would like to enter into the record. But let me begin my remarks, first of all, by welcoming to our capital today Ms. Jennifer Pinckney and her two daughters. There are the wife and children of Reverend Clemente Pinckney, who, along with 8 of his Bible study practitioners, lost his life to a demented white supremacist who said that he was interested in starting a race war. He entered their church, participated in the Bible study, which they welcomed him into. And as they closed their study that evening and prayed for what they had experienced and for their next meeting, this gentleman, while their eyes were closed, opened his and slaughtered them. I find it interesting that my colleague has talked about the inconvenience of waiting longer than 3 days to purchase a weapon without mentioning those poor souls of Emmanuel AME Church. He's talked about people who might be inconvenienced. He's talked about something he read in the newspapers, but he has not mentioned them. Well, I'm here today to say that the members of this august body need to think a little bit about the value of those lives. Are they more valuable than the inconvenience a gun purchaser may have by having to wait 10 rather than 3 days to make a purchase? What would make one so anxious to purchase a gun in the first place? If you've got to have a gun right now, chances are you have no useful purpose, no redeeming value in the purchase of that gun. And maybe we ought to participate here as members of this body in helping this purchaser with a cooling off period, which is all we are asking to do here. Charleston, South Carolina is nicknamed the Holy City. Churches, steeples dominate the skyscape line of this historic city, which until recently had an ordinance that no building could be constructed higher than 55 feet, wanting nothing to obstruct its steeples. Faith is fundamental to the Charleston community. However, that faith was rocked in June 2015 when this lone gunman rushed into this Bible study after studying the most historic African-American churches in the state of South Carolina. Develop a list of 5 churches, one of which was Emmanuel AME. He, by his own admission, selected this church because of its importance to the African-American community, being the first organized place of worship in the South for African Americans. He selected this. This was a hate crime of the first order. And we are saying we should not inconvenience him. And we did not inconvenience him. We allowed him to get that gun after 3 days, when it was around the 5th day that they found the glitch in the system and found him to be ineligible to own a gun. We just had a gunman go into his workplace in Aurora, Illinois. He was ineligible to have a gun, but he was allowed to purchase the gun, and when they found out that he was ineligible to have a gun, they then sent him a letter and said, please bring us the gun back. You are not eligible to have a gun. Give me a break. No, he didn't return the gun because he had no redeeming value in having the gun. And he murdered his co-workers. And you're telling me we should not inconvenience him. Well, my colleague, the chair of the committee, has laid out for you the procedure in this bill, a procedure that makes it a maximum, irrespective of what my colleague may say, it is a maximum of 20 working days, business days, that one would have in order to purchase a gun. I would hope as we move forward here today, we would think about those poor souls of Emmanuel AME Church. We'll think about those 4,000 people, 4,200 people who purchased guns in 2016 using this loophole. The 4,800 people who purchased guns in 2017 using this loophole. Think about their families. Think about their children.
Gentleman's time has expired.
And think about what we're about to do here today.
Madam Speaker, I yield the gentleman an additional minute.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you for yielding me an additional minute. Let me just take this minute to go back to what I had prepared to say here today. In troubling times, many of us find solace in the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. The Charleston Loophole is something all members of Congress should have the courage to change, and by doing so, grant the American people the serenity they deserve in their schools, in their entertainment venues, in their neighborhood streets, and God forbid, in their places